Hi, folks. I had an idea a few years ago regarding an in car charger for electric cars. The one thing I can't do is I can't make diesel and I can't make petrol, but I can make electricity using technology, either solar or wind power. So, the idea I had was got to do with having an in-car charger for an electric car so you don't have to go through all the issues that electric car drivers have to do regarding charging. So let me go through the idea with you and let me know what you think. Okay, so we know that the current state of play with batteries is not good regarding the cobalt mining and everything else, and they tell us that electric cars are environmentally friendly, which they aren't because of all the issues related to them. But I'm not going to be going into the battery technology on this presentation. However, I will say that they are looking at sodium based batteries which use sand, which is better than using cobalt with all the mining that's going on. But we're not going to go into that technology. What I want to talk about in this presentation is the fact that electric car drivers suffer from charger rage, where people have been beating each other up and fighting each other over skipping queues for charging their electric car. Also, there's anxiety range, where you're driving your car and you look at your battery level and you're worried whether you're going to get to where you have to get to before the battery goes down. Then the other thing is that if a charger is out of order, what do you do and your battery's low? I mean, there's a lot of issues there regarding electric cars. So my idea is to have an in-car charger to help people with electric cars so they don't suffer from all these issues. Plus, they save money at the same time. So basically, this is kind of all the theory, okay? I haven't done this on a practical level, so it's all theory and it's all kind of rounded up to make the calculations easier and understandable for people who are non-technical. Now, I will say that obviously there's two phases to this, phase one and phase two. If people watch this presentation and they have suggestions and constructive suggestions, then obviously leave a comment below, or leave a message below, or email me and let me know what your thoughts are. Obviously, if somebody has the money and they want to fund phase one of this project, then that would be fantastic, because then we can actually try this out for real and see how we get on. So the whole idea is that if you could have an in-car charger to charge your car, then it just means that you won't have to worry about anxiety regarding the range that you're driving and the money that you will save being able to charge your own car and charge up the batteries in your own car, charge up your in-car charger. So to do this and to work out the technical side of it, we need to see what's being used out there at the moment and apply the same technology. So first and foremost, we need to have a bog standard electric car. So I've decided to pick a Tesla Model 3 Standard, which has a 55 kilowatt battery. Okay, so that's pretty standard, that's out there. And obviously we need the Tesla wall charger, because we're going to be charging using AC power. And the wall chargers for the Tesla cars, for the Model S for example, the Model 3 Standard, basically it takes 11.5 kilowatts, and for every hour of charge it gives you 41 miles. So that gives us an idea that that's the kind of power we need for our in-car charger to be able to charge our car. So that's, keep that in mind for going forward. So what Tesla are saying is that if you have a Model S car and you use 11.5 kilowatt charger at home, AC charger, using 240 volts, and you charge it for an hour, you'll get 41 miles on your charge, on your battery. Okay, now to do a full charge on the battery at this rate takes about 8 to 10 hours, okay, on your car. which is fine, but they also recommend that you don't fully charge your car. We're not going to go into the technical side. We're just going to assume that we're dealing with full charges here. But we'll make sure that with this example, I'm making sure that the car battery is fully charged and the in-car charger batteries are fully charged before we start this experiment. So we're starting from fully charged batteries. So the idea is this. We need to put a 5 kilowatt wind turbine on top of the car in a horizontal position. Now, I know that sounds mad, and I do have a design I'm going to show you later on. There's a slide I have with a design to show you what it looks like. But basically, the best type of wind turbines is this shape, not the ones with the blades sticking out, but it's that shape that apparently are the better quality and better performance regarding wind turbines. Now, this is a 5 kilowatt wind turbine, and the great thing with wind turbines is they have low RPM, which means they don't need a lot of wind to get started to produce power. And that's why a wind turbine for me is the solution here. You don't need to have a very high RPM to get the maximum power out of it. Low RPM with wind turbines is exactly what you need. And this is 3-phase, which is even better. Okay. You'll also need, for this phase 1 part, you'll also need a charge controller. Because the charge controller just makes sure that you don't overcharge the batteries, and it protects the circuit and everything else. So obviously we need to make sure that the charge controller that we get also deals with wind turbine technology and not just solar technology. And there's plenty of them out there, so that shouldn't be a problem. So here we go. So basically the idea behind all of this is that we have this person and they're going to travel to work, and their work is about an hour away, and they will travel an hour on a motorway, and they'll be able to travel at 120 kilometers an hour, which is the speed limit on the motorway. Okay, which means that their journey of an hour will take 120 kilometers to get there. Okay, so we have to work out, obviously, with all the calculations, how this is all going to work out, and we have to break it down to make sure that we get enough power from the actual wind turbine to justify the whole idea of this design. And that's what I'm basically planning to do. So if you want to read that information, you can do. It just goes into detail a bit more about what the plan is. So here's the idea. Now, you've probably seen these wedges on top of cars, and they're for camping and storage when you're going, camping, and you put all your stuff in the wedge. Now, the idea is it's basically based on the ramjet design, thanks to my brother-in-law, who's an aircraft mechanic, and he was telling me that this is how airplane engines work, basically ramjets, where the wind comes into the front of the wedge. It rotates the wind turbine, which is lying down horizontally, and then it goes out the back end. Okay, now the reason why I'm putting it in the wedge is it's easier to manage and it's cheaper to do that. But as you can see from pictures I have there are some electric cars that have a bonnet with nothing inside it. So you could technically put a small wind turbine in the bonnet of a car and do the same thing, because a normal car grille is open to allow cold air to go in to keep the engine cool. So why not do the same thing, that we can put a wind turbine in the bonnet of a car and have a grille, and when the wind comes in, it'll hit the wind turbine, spin it, and then we'll have vents at the back which will extract the wind that comes in. So basically the ramjet idea, but for the bonnet of the car. So phase 1 would involve obviously getting an electric car, getting the wedge, getting the wind turbine, and getting the charge controller. That's all the equipment you need to do the testing. Phase 2 will involve a bit more equipment, but there's no point going to phase 2 unless you deal with phase 1 and you see what figures and calculations you get, and that will tell you whether it's going to be worthwhile for you to actually go ahead. Now, bearing in mind that you could technically put 2 wind turbines in the wedge and you'd get 10 kilowatts of power. So keep that in mind. You can actually do that. And if you wanted to close off the actual wedge so no wind goes in, say you want to switch it off, you can actually have a shutter to shut off the wind going in, or you can take it off the rack of your car. Okay, so there's plenty of things you can do there. So now this is where we get to the calculations. So what I wanted to work out is that if a Tesla Model S car has a 55 kilowatt battery and it travels for an hour, how much energy will it take to get to the journey after, using 1 hour? And if you look at all the calculations, basically it turns out that you use 15 kilowatts of power to travel 1 hour with the Tesla car. So that's 27% of the battery used on a Tesla car to get to a 1 hour journey. So that gives us an idea what we have to play with. So if we travel for 1 hour and we use 27% of the battery, then when the person is driving back from work, we need to make sure that the in-car charger has the ability to provide 27% or more power to charge up the actual batteries that you're using when you're actually charging the car during the day. So for most people, when they drive to their work, they actually work 7 or 8 hours a day and then they go home. So the idea of this is that they will drive to their work, they will be able to plug in their Tesla car to their in-car charger, okay, and then when they're finished at the end of the day, they'll unplug it and drive home, and the drive home will actually charge the in-car charger batteries back up again. Okay, so we'll go to more calculations to work out how much power we need. Now, the batteries for phase 2, if we ever got to the stage where we wanted to do phase 2, the batteries we would use would be obviously lithium ion, 24 volt, 300 amp hour batteries. 2 of them will give us 14.4 kilowatts of power. And we only need 11.5, but that will give us 14.4. And the actual inverter that we need to convert the DC to AC, there's 12 kilowatt inverters out there which will do the job. We only need 11.5. There's a 12 kilowatt inverter. So this can be done, and the technology is actually out there. Yes, it is expensive, but again, it's all down to funding and giving this a try. At the moment, as I said, it's just theory, but I'd love to give it a go to see how we get on and if it would work. So okay, we need to look at the figures. Okay, so basically we need to make sure that whatever we do when we're putting this together, we need to make sure that we can charge the in-car charger batteries back up for the next journey. So it works out that if you can charge, if you use 11.5 kilowatts of power and you get 41 miles per hour, that means that for after 3 hours of charge, you'll get 123 miles or kilometers back into the juice in your power. Now, you have to say to yourself, well, if it's 3 hours to get 123 kilometers and you're in work for 7 hours, then you're only going to use 3 hours of your in-car charger, the power, to charge your battery back up to full. Okay, now I used AI for the calculations. So if you use 27% of power going to work, then that means you need to use only 27% of your in-car charger to charge your car back up. So after you work all day and you unplug the in-car charger and you get in your car, the in-car charger batteries need to be charged back up. How long will it take to charge up to 27% of battery on your in-car charger? Well, when you do the calculations with AI, it works out to be 46 minutes. But your journey is 1 hour. So that means you have 15 minutes of extra time. So you'll have your in-car charger batteries charged up before you get home, ready to charge up your car again for the next trip, the next day. So now I know, factoring in sometimes that you don't always drive from home to work and then work to home. Sometimes you drive somewhere else and you go somewhere else and all. I know all that. I'm aware of all of that. I'm just basing this on the simplistic way of people going to work and coming back from work on a day to day basis. And this in-car charger is basically to help people. The likes of charger rage, the likes of range anxiety, or if a charger is out of control, do you have a backup option? Well, this gives you a backup option to charge your car. So that's the design there, folks. It's based on initially the wedge idea, but if this was something that we could run with and we got an electric car and we could put it in the bonnet, then that means you'd have less of a drag factor when you're driving on the motorway, and it'd be all inside the car rather than outside the car, even though you're using the wedge to reduce the actual drag factor and have it more streamlined. So there you go. So I hope that was interesting for you. As I said, it's all theory at the moment. I haven't done anything on a practical level to know whether this is going to work. The only way we're going to test this out is to go and buy the equipment and try it out and see how we get on. But the technology that I've suggested there, i.e. the two batteries, the charge controller and the inverter, will all fit in the boot of a car. It doesn't take up that much space. It won't take up that much space to put this in as an experiment. Okay, and it'd be great to see if we could actually test this to see if we could do it. So if you have money and you want to fund this project, by all means contact me and contact us at circlewhitelight.com, or leave a comment below. Good and bad, keep it constructive, please. No swear words or anything like that. Or if there's anything that you can add to this that you think would actually help with the energy and the power, that would be fantastic. But imagine if we could do this, or this could be offered to all electric car drivers, to say, we have an option to give you where you can charge your own car, you can save yourself money, and you won't have any of these issues regarding range and anxiety, regarding charger rage, or out of order charges that aren't working. I think it potentially has legs, but we won't know until we test it. So, I have a couple of people in the background that would be interested in getting involved in this, who have certain skills as well. So, but like anything, it just needs funding. So it'd be fantastic if we could do that. But I'd still like to find out what your thoughts would be and what you think, whether this is a goer and whether this is practical. So it'd be great to let me know. Cheers.